Hi, we're School Yourself, and we're reinventing education. So the current education paradigm is unsustainable. Taxpayers are spending $1 trillion a year on education, which is more than the federal defense budget. School districts can't afford to keep spending $8 billion a year on textbooks, and many of them are forced to shed teachers as they cut their budgets. On top of all of this, traditional teaching methods are not engaging to the current generation of students, who on average spend more than 7 hours a day with their media. Textbooks and lectures can't compete with Facebook and Angry Birds. And there's a shortage of Americans who are qualified to teach advanced math or science, which isn't helping this problem at all. In light of these challenges, education is starting to undergo a revolution. The multi-billion-dollar textbook industry is already in trouble, and one of the leaders in it actually just went bankrupt last week. The Obama administration is trying to alleviate some of these burdens on the schools, and they want all textbooks to be digital within 5 years. But in 5 years, nobody knows what education will even look like. With the market in flux and up for grabs, whoever is the best at delivering the highest quality, digital, interactive, affordable, personalized educational experience will win. School Yourself is superbly positioned to be a first mover in the digital textbook and digital education spaces, and to have a great market penetration with our highest quality digital math and science textbooks. So, I'm Zach, and I founded School Yourself after I taught freshman physics here at Harvard last year. I had a great time coming up with fun problems and engaging activities for my students, who wound up performing the best in the class. After the semester ended, I thought every student, and not just those in my section or those at Harvard, deserved that kind of experience. As the highest rated TA for freshman physics here at Harvard, I won Harvard's White Award for Excellence in Teaching. And now I'm finishing up my PhD in physics here. Our whole team actually met in undergrad at MIT, and we've been friends for about 10 years. John Lee is our CTO, or as he likes to call himself, he's our chief engineer. He has worked as a senior software engineer at Google now for a number of years, and he's an expert in artificial intelligence, data mining, machine learning. Vivek Venkatachalam just got his PhD in physics here at Harvard, and he's done some amazing work in low-energy physics. And now he's heading up our research on how people learn, as well as organizing our adaptive teaching platform, which I'll get to in a little bit. So that's our team, but who else is working on trying to fix education? Well, I'll say a little bit about the biggest players out there. There are the big three textbook publishers, Pearson, McGraw-Hill, and Houghton Mifflin. There's edX, which is a joint venture between Harvard and MITx. And there's also the highly publicized Khan Academy. So the big three publishers, which control 90% of the publishing market, are basically dinosaurs. They're relics of the 20th century approach to education. And they are in trouble. I don't know if you heard, but just last week, Houghton Mifflin filed for bankruptcy. The big three are seeing their $8 billion a year market shrinking right before their eyes. And in a panic, they decided to release some of their books, to digitize them, and make them available on Apple's iBookstore. So in this slide, you see a screenshot from McGraw-Hill's Algebra Electronic Textbook, or e-textbook, for the iPad. And like most major textbooks, it's pretty, and it has a high production value. But how much of this book is actually interactive? Not much, and certainly nothing in this screenshot. These e-textbooks are basically digitized versions of their paper counterparts. But unlike the big three, at School Yourself, our e-textbooks are loaded with interactive content. edX, which until recently was known just as MITx, will be making Harvard and MIT lectures available online to anyone, anywhere. Coursera is a startup that's doing something similar with schools outside the Cambridge area. While it's true that edX is making lectures digital, they're still lectures rather than something more interactive and immersive. Like the big three textbook publishers, edX is taking existing 20th century infrastructure and just making it more available. At School Yourself, however, we're reinventing the educational experience from the ground up. Finally, Khan Academy is really big right now. It's a website with YouTube videos on math and science and finance and art history and other subjects as well. Sal Khan has posted an impressive array of videos to his site. But where Khan succeeds in quantity, he lacks in quality. Khan Academy is simply an unintegrated smattering of low-tech videos. If you want to learn trigonometry, you'd be directed to a place that looks just like this slide. It's just a list of various topics and doesn't guide you through any of the material. And Khan's production value often leaves something to be desired, as you'll see in this screenshot. And these are the best attempts at fixing education out there. That means there's an unprecedented opportunity to produce content that is of the highest quality, is hands-on, interactive, engaging, immersive, has excellent production value, covers advanced math and science content that students need for success, that has a far greater depth than traditional textbooks, and also is more organized than Khan Academy, and it also personalizes education. Nothing out there comes close to meeting all of these criteria, until now. So our first e-textbook, Trigonometry, which we released a few weeks ago now, is the Lexus of textbooks. It is the new gold standard for education technology. So we released it for the iPad, and we started with Apple specifically because they have a great distribution network already in place. And we're charging only $5 for this book. That's the same price as Angry Birds. The big three are charging $15 for annual subscriptions. So after a few years, we'll have undercut their price by an order of magnitude. Trig, our Trig book, has over 4.5 hours of dynamic video content, more than 30 touch-based interactives. And if you look carefully at these screenshots from the book, you'll see that in every subsection of the book, there's a section called Why Does This Matter? Another thing that's great about our e-textbook Trigonometry is its high production value. Here's a montage of some of the book's video content. The y-coordinates are duplicated on either side of the y-axis. For every angle on the right side, there's a corresponding angle on the left side with the same y-coordinate. By convention, we pick the right side to be the range for the inverse sine. If we try out all the different orientations for A, we see that it hits the dashed line in 2 locations. So here, in yellow, is one possible triangle. Now we've got 2 rectangles shown here in orange. They each have base x2 and height y1. So their combined area is 2x2y1. Notice that each term here has a 1/2 r in it, so we can factor it out. So the area of the entire triangle is 1/2 r times a plus b plus c. Now let's see if we can figure out the length of the bottom leg of this right triangle. Let's zoom in on the bottom face of the tetrahedron, which we're showing here in blue. Here's the bottom leg of the right triangle drawn onto the bottom face of the tetrahedron. And there's another 4.5 hours where that came from. Our dynamic videos are the equivalent of the talking picture to Khan Academy's silent films. You won't find anything like them anywhere else in the world or online. Beyond our unprecedented video content, Trigonometry boasts more than 30 touch-based interactives, like the ones you'll see in this video. So here are a few of the more than 30 interactives from Trigonometry. In this one, users can draw any triangle they want and see that its angles add up to 180 degrees, the angle in a straight line. Here, users can find the trig functions for any angle by selecting a point on the unit circle. In this one, users can add any 2 trig functions together. By adding high frequencies together, they can see what's called a beat frequency. Here, users can add vectors. All our interactives are incredibly easy to pick up and play with. Finally, here's a fun interactive for our upcoming Calculus e-textbook. First, users can make any function they want by dragging the curve up or down. Then, they move a slider to calculate the function's integral, which is the area under the curve. Finally, they move another slider to see the derivative, or slope, of that integral. And voila, they get their original function back. And just like that, we've demonstrated what's called the fundamental theorem of calculus. And we're already underway on our Calculus e-textbook, which the last interactive you saw was from. So on Apple's iBookstores, customers have the opportunity to rate their purchases anywhere from 1 star to 5 stars. And the horizontal axis of this graph shows the average consumer rating for each book. And with all its rich and interactive content, trigonometry has easily become the most popular math e-textbook on the iBookstore. At 4.7 stars, it's the only one rated over 4. So we've created a huge success with trigonometry. So what are we doing next? Well, we're writing more ebooks with the same high quality, and you got a flavor of that in the Calculus Interactive that you just saw. And we're focusing on advanced math and science subjects with large markets and many applications for students. Over the next year, we'll be releasing books in calculus, probability statistics, algebra, mechanics, E&M, and circuits. We'll also be releasing our content on other platforms beyond the iPad, like other tablet computers and online. And we're also adding new original features to our content. For example, we just finished making a digital scratch pad that shows up when you're working through some of the review problems in our book. So there's that. And we're really, really excited about the adaptive teaching platform that we're developing. We're going to collect detailed user data, like which interactive students are watching and how long they spend solving different problems. And we're going to crunch that data to optimize and personalize the user experience. The effectiveness of such adaptive teaching has already been demonstrated by numerous studies. And there's even a company that exclusively focuses on writing its own adaptive teaching software called Newton. And they've raised a lot of venture capital. But Newton is relying on one of the textbook dinosaurs, Pearson, to generate all their content. Whereas at School Yourself, we'll be supplying our adaptive teaching platform with our own state-of-the-art immersive content. So as I said earlier, there are unprecedented opportunities in this multi-billion-dollar educational space that's undergoing rapid shifts. The textbook leaders are in trouble, and they're not able to adapt to the current needs of education. At School Yourself, we're reinventing education from the ground up, and we're already the best at delivering the highest quality digital, interactive, affordable, personalized content. So we think we can win this space, win this market. And we'll defend ourselves from copycats by making the best content available at extremely low costs, and by collecting and using massive amounts of user data to optimize our user experience. So right now, we need money and we need people. We spent our winnings at the as being President's Challenge finalists on upgrading our hardware and our software. But we're already cash positive, and we need more money to hire another engineer to help us develop our adaptive teaching software. And we also need another content developer with extensive math and science teaching experience. Now, we're not simply outsourcing the content development, because if we can find somebody who's amazing at teaching, at explaining things, and at designing a wonderful interactive experience, we want that person on our team. We already have specific people in mind for these positions. We just need the money to pay them. And our goals are to set the gold standard of electronic interactive math and science education, which we've already done to a large degree with our first success, trigonometry. We want to be the leading company in secondary and post-secondary math and science education, and we want to be involved in every instance of students learning these subjects. And that's how we're reinventing education. We've had a wonderful time with the President's Challenge. Thanks.